Do you already know what it is?
Yeah.
James, do you already know what it is?
Yeah.
Alright, James, you grab that.
Oh yeah! Ow! Look. Shit, dude.
Ta-da!
Ooh, it's cool. It actually is cool.
Do you think it looks cool?
Yeah, I like that body.
Oh, it's still attached. Kind of. Man, that thing has been bouncing around, and this is the, as it got shipped here.
That thing is so awesome.
There you go. One Redcat Thunder Drift. Instructions.
That thing looks awesome.
Oh, James just pulled the plastic off of it.
Ooh.
What's in that one?
It's a controller.
Hopefully more than just a controller.
Oh, and the charger. Oh, yeah, look at that controller.
Okay, I definitely want to drive this first.
We have a controller. Yeah, there should be more in there. Unless it's already in the car.
Nope, nothing in there. Oh, the battery?
Yeah. Alright, so let's see here. Look how long these body posts are.
That thing is awesome.
We could probably not need
hold up,
that.
what is this?
I don't know, you're the one opening it. What is it?
Yeah.
Bind plug and antenna. Body looks good.
Oh, that thing looks awesome.
Got some. It's interesting how the body has some mirrors, windshield wipers, rear wing.
Where's the battery?
In it.
Oh, there.
Charge battery before
I like
using.
that.
Where'd the knife go?
I like
Knife.
that right here. That's cool.
I'm about to use it.
So we have, it's kind of cool. Look, it actually has a clip in there for the battery wire. I don't know what this is. We'll have to look to see how this, it looks like it's complicated as to how that goes in. Speed control, on-off switch. It has the brushed motor. It's interesting how this is, if you guys notice, this vehicle brushed, but look at the motor's all the way in the front. It has this pulley, setup where it's actually a belt that drives the front and the rear differentials. Isn't that interesting?
I love the tires.
The wheels?
Yes.
You like the wheel design? All right, so yeah, we'll just have to, we're gonna need to charge the battery up and just try it as it is out of the box. See what it looks like.
Drift cars can jump and we'll just break it.
Maybe. I don't know. This one might be okay.
I
We'll have to
like
see.
that. I really like that.
What do you like about it?
I like how it looks.
You like how it looks? You like the body design?
I especially love the tire wheels and yeah, the body.
You like the wheels and the body design?
I like how it has this.
You like the pulleys, the belts that it has?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of, think about like all of our other vehicles have like a metal shaft that drives front and rear, the motor's sideways versus how most of our vehicles are. And then it has this this pulley. In theory, you can actually buy, what this allows you to do is it allows you to change the gear ratio independently of front and rear. So you can actually buy a different, somehow change the gearing between the front and rear so you can actually make like the rear tires spin faster than the front tires as an example. But we need to look at the manual because one of the things that happens with this vehicle is somehow with this piece here, and I don't know how you do it on the front, or maybe you don't do it on the front, you can actually change the tension on the belt. And this belt, at least to me, this belt feels kind of loose to me, so maybe we should look at how we change the tension on this and tension up that belt. But yeah, maybe we try to get it, I mean, it's just a nickel battery, so obviously we'll change this over to a LiPo. We'll change this over to XT90 like we run on everything else, and we'll put our lithium battery in it, but we can at least try the nickel battery first just to see what happens. Absolutely brand new. First time it's ever been turned on. All right, right is right, left is left.
Oh, look at the speed.
It makes all the right things. So you got to ask yourself, what am I doing buying a Redcat Thunder Drift all-wheel drive drift car thing when I have a MST RMX with upgrades and everything? Why did I do that, right? So here, this is something very, very simple. I just put a new ESCN motor in this vehicle. It cost more than this whole car did. This whole car. You can get this thing online, retail, Amazon all day long for $164. I just spent more than that on on the motor and speed control in this one. And what you hear all the time is folks that want to get into drifting. They see cool videos and they say, man, this drifting thing looks really awesome. How do I get into it? And you say, you know what? Go buy this RMX kit or go buy a Yokomo kit that's $200. Throw all these expensive motors and speed controls in them, and they're looking at a $600 to $1,000 price tag, and it's a hard price tag to get into. And so a lot of people then start to look at like 10 scale touring cars, Tamiya TT-02, and say, oh, I got a drift car. It's not a drift car, it's a touring car that you put slick tires on and kind of slide around with a little bit. So Redcat actually did design this as a drift car, but it's an all-wheel drive drift car. And so it's not for the same usage as what we use this car for. This is much more just going to be fun in a parking lot. I think my boys are going to really like it. But also, I want to help everybody see what is the difference between a rear-wheel drive dedicated chassis and something that is still more on the drift side than the touring side with how it's set up, but much more on the budget, super budget entry. Like, I don't know if you can get a fully ready to run drift car cheaper than this one. Initial impressions. So just got done putting basically 2 battery packs through this thing, and notes, things that I'm thinking about. First, it has what the Rich DRC and I lovingly refer to as the Redcat steering problem, which is that when you steer it and it never quite comes back to straight. It seems like it's always just a hair off one way or the other from straight. One of the things when you look at it is it has crazy amounts of play in the stock servo saver, and so that is definitely something that could really use being replaced. Fortunately, I have a bunch of just standard metal servos. That's going to get done almost immediately. Otherwise, there's still a little bit potentially of play and stuff, but whatever, it'll be fine. I'll say I had my kids drive it. If you watch the video, both of my boys drove it a fair amount, crashed it a fair amount also, and so far no damage. You will see, actually, yes, somehow they actually were able to manage to scrape it on the roof, but the body otherwise lived pretty well, except for, you'll notice, they actually knocked off both mirrors. But A simple tape job, some double-sided tape or some super glue, that'll be fine. So driving impressions are, this thing was really hard to drive. I was really flabbergasted as to how difficult this thing was to drift in the garage. Rich D and I used to drift our slashes in this garage, just like we were doing here with this, with ease. So four-wheel drive slash, just big massive power slides without any kind of issue. It really took some effort to really control this vehicle. I was just surprised. I assumed four-wheel drive that it'd be easy. Man, it just really isn't. I will take my rear-wheel drive drift car over this every day of the week. I think it's still going to be fun. I think there's going to be some tuning to be done. I'm going to play a little bit with alignments. I'm going to double check the alignment that's here. The good thing about this vehicle, fully adjustable. So I can play, I can add a little bit of toe out to it. I can play with the camber. One of the things you'll notice here is where the tire wear was through two battery packs. So on this side, mostly wearing on the inside, almost never getting to the outside shoulder. So a little bit of camber in, it looks like. Kind of like what I would normally expect. On this side, basically wearing on the middle to the out, which means probably a little bit too much camber out. So I'm going to get the camber gauge out and I'm going to check it and see if I learn anything. Out of the box, I ended up tightening up. This is a tensioner, so I can't tell. It doesn't appear that it has a belt tensioner for the front belt, but for the super long rear belt, it actually has a front and a rear belt tensioner. Both of these are basically in the as loose as it gets point as it came out of the box, and that looked way too flimsy, and now that I've driven it for 2 packs, this belt looks way too loose. And so I already tightened this one up. I might come in here and tighten this one up also just to see. There is absolutely nothing in these manuals to give you any indication that you can even adjust it or what it should be adjusted to. These are almost, literally almost worthless pieces of paper that come with it. Otherwise, overall, it was fun. The boys seemed to enjoy it. They had a kick out of it. And the best thing is that since it is a fraction of the price of my rear-wheel drive drift car, when they crashed it, I didn't care as much. They were able to laugh and giggle and crash, and I was not, had no anxiousness, no nervousness, no sadness or anger at them whatsoever. Just let them have fun. So, I think the tires that are on here also are probably a little bit more geared towards an outdoor environment, maybe an asphalt, maybe a smooth concrete. I'll be very interested to get this outside and see if this car really comes alive outside. So that's the initial run. Be looking forward. We'll be doing more videos on this. We're gonna do a couple tweaks to it, do a couple things, just see if we can enjoy it, see what that looks like. So if you want to see more, follow along, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you guys in the next video.